We begin in the United States, where immigration officials have detained some 475 people at a Hyundai vehicle factory in the state of Georgia. Hundreds of federal agents took part in the raid at the facility, which was built by the Korean company to manufacture electric vehicles. Authorities say most of the workers detained were South Korean nationals. It's the latest in a long line of workplace raids conducted as part of the Trump administration's mass deportation agenda. Now, speaking to the press shortly after the operation, the US president praised the Immigration Customs Enforcement Agency known as ICE.
I would say that they were illegal aliens and ICE was just doing its job. Well, we want to get along with other countries and we want to have a great, stable workforce. And we had, as I understand it, a lot of illegal aliens, some not the best of people. But we had a lot of illegal aliens working there. So, you know, look, they're doing their job. That's what they have to do.
Now, South Korea is one of the US's closest allies. It says it's sending diplomats to the site and expressed its concern over the raid.
In the course of US law enforcement, the economic activities of our companies and the rights and interests of our nationals must not be unjustly infringed. We also conveyed our concerns and regrets to the US Embassy and urged them to take special care to ensure that the legitimate rights and interests of our nationals are not violated.
Our journalist Fabian Kretschmer joins me now from Seoul for more on this story. Fabian, most of those arrested in this mega plant in Georgia are Korean. What's been the reaction where you are in Seoul?
Yeah, of course, Koreans are furious, but I would say at least the official reaction is rather muted. Of course, the foreign ministry has voiced their concern to the US embassy. They said that the rights of South Korean individuals as well as companies in the US, they mustn't be unfairly violated. But for example, the foreign ministry did not summon the US ambassador here. They could have done so. I think South Korea is in rather a weak position. They rely on the US for their security here. I mean, they are neighboring North Korea, so they have a US soldier stationed here. They also rely on the access to the US market. They want to get rid of Trump's tariffs. So I think probably the reaction will be more muted than you might expect. But here within the country, of course, a lot of newspapers, they are commentating. We invest so much in the US, especially after Trump demanded us to do so. And that's the thanks we get. I mean, basically, people are disappointed here.
Yeah, the reaction also follows somewhat of a charm offensive. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung was in the White House a week ago, lavishing praise on Trump. What has happened?
Well, we don't know what happened in the background, but I think it's really interesting to recall this meeting, because just before Lee Jae-myung, the South Korean president, and Trump met at the White House, Trump was angrily posting on Truth Social against South Korea. But then within the meeting, the mood turned 180 degrees. Lee Jae-myung, he read actually Art of the Deal, like Trump's memoir from the 80s, and basically was beating Trump with his own weapons. He was praising him to an extreme that was sometimes cringe to watch, but it worked. Trump suddenly avoided all the sensitive issues. They seem to get along very well. But I mean, this charm offensive was very short-lived, so to speak. So apparently Trump's word, I mean, his friendly words did not count much only a couple of days later. So I think we don't know exactly what happened, but Trump turns out to be very emotional and very moody in terms of that he's switching from being friendly to a country to being rather hostile in a very short time span.
Fabian, you mentioned the spectre of investment here. Hyundai and LG Energy have invested heavily in US production under Trump. Could this jeopardise the future of Korean investment in the United States?
Yeah, Hyundai, the company that was raided, is also crucial when it comes to cooperating with US to reinstate their shipbuilding capacity, because South Korea is really leading in that, and specifically Hyundai. So they have some power, but I would say that the US side is the stronger side here. I mean, South Korea is really heavily relying on the US market, is also relying on the US security. I think what we will see is that in the background, there will be more discussions and debates whether South Korea should maybe move closer to China if the US really turns out to be very unreliable and relationships are souring. So I think this debate will happen, but I don't think that companies will start to cancel their investments, because after all, plans for investments, I mean, those can be also delayed or can be somehow dealt with in the numbers. That, I mean, I don't think that actually the numbers will be slashed, but I think the mood is very negative right now.
Journalist Fabian Kretschmer in Seoul, thanks so much.